Hello, beautiful people. It's Jabolko Thread once more. I believe you've seen the thumbnail of today's video. I am so happy that the world is getting fused as one. For the likes of Ali Abdul and Dr.Izzy, both of them are doctors, by the way, and both of them are YouTubers, to get twined as one, to get into conjugal rights, to be happily married together. So I didn't know for a long while. I have not seen her updates. I've not seen anything regarding her timeline on my page, nothing. But once I've been seeing that of the husband. I didn't know something was going on until yesterday she posted. And people were like, what's been going on? But when I saw the thumbnail, I now know that these two tied the knot. That's the power of what YouTube could do or can do. That's the power of also what I think Dr. Ali is in London. I don't know about where Dr. Izzy was. I think she was also in London before she left. But look at them together now, being joined together. May God bless their marriage. I've been following them since from my account when it was Samuel Effiong, before I got this brand account, which I created and started afresh. I've been following them for quite a long time. I didn't know something was going on underneath. There was actually a period where this Nigerian YouTuber that does shoots videos when he travels, Tayo Aina, went and visited Ali in London, and that was the power of connection. And here we are today that Dr. Izzy is getting married to him. I'm so much glad that these two could get together. Now let's go over and see how it all comes to make a better picture. Remember Mr. Ghana Baby, whom we know as Wodemaya, getting married to Miss Trudy. At least in their own case, you could see that they started coming together to do movies, shoot clips together and things. So you could suspect something was going on. For these two, I didn't really see anything, I think, except ones that they did a collabo, which to the best of my recollection. But today, this is a very big, great news. So she had to stay away for about 9 months.
So it's been 9 months since my last video here on YouTube. Nearly 9 months.
She has told you would hear from her very shortly.
Next stage of the life update is I got married. I got married in August, and there was a lot of wedding planning, like a huge amount. I think I underestimated wedding planning before I actually tried it myself, because people would always be like, oh, like there's so much work to plan a wedding, like, oh, they're starting planning their wedding like 3 years in advance. And I'm like, really? How hard can this really be? My now husband was also like, yeah, how hard can it be? Like, Apple launched the first iPhone in 4 months. Surely we can plan a wedding in 6 months. And so we started wedding planning. But by we started wedding planning, it was mostly I started wedding planning. He was very helpful whenever asked, but he didn't really have a strong preference on most things, and I would have more of a preference on things like the color palette or what kind of food we have. I would have much more of a preference than he did, and so then it's almost like whatever I preferred he was happy with. I would take the time to really think about this, so this ended up taking up a lot more of my life than I was anticipating, in a relatively condensed time period as well, because we were planning it in essentially 6 months. And what I noticed actually during this season of life, so it was really amping up in probably like April, May, June, July, like the final, maybe more like the last 3 months, so like May, June, July, was that wedding planning was taking over my life a little bit. And I kept finding myself feeling guilty and almost feeling bad about myself because I wasn't getting that much stuff done. Like when I'd make my daily to-do list in the morning or like do my weekly review, I'm like, wait, but like, why am I not getting all of the things that I wanted to do done actually done? And I kept going through the cycle of like being a bit down about it, not super happy with how I was doing, until I had this mental switch that wedding planning isn't just like a little like lightweight activity on the side. It's actually a project. And so then we had our wedding. It was a gorgeous day, like one of the happiest days of my life. Just having all of our loved ones there, with everybody having the dinner and dancing and eating cake together. It was maybe the best day of my life. I remember just grinning from ear to ear on the dance floor, looking at all my friends and family and feeling so surrounded by love and connection. So all the wedding planning paid off in the end.
She has said what happened to her, and not to be a long video, but just to express my joy, my gratitude. And I pray this marriage is blessed, fruitful, and they will live till old age. All the best to you too. If you come across this video, I would be so happy, but it's just me expressing myself and being happy for both of you. This is from Jabolko Trade here in Nigeria. My name is Samuel Effiong. Enjoy. Best regards.
And after that, we went on our honeymoon in Costa Rica, and then also went to Burning Man, which was a whole other story. It was a crazy experience, and an insane testament to the power of human creativity and what we can build when we put our minds together and our intellect together. But then came the next challenge, because my plan all along had been, okay, for now, wedding planning is my top thing. Once the wedding's over and then we've done our honeymoon and started traveling again, YouTube's going to be my number one. But actually, I found out that after like a couple of weeks after like the honeymoon and like traveling together, I found out that I was pregnant. So this is the next big life update. Ali, my husband, and I, like, we knew that from very early on that we both wanted kids. And we were aligned on wanting kids soon after marriage. I think maybe there was part of me that wasn't truly mentally prepared, despite kind of agreeing to this or like thinking that I was. Because I think there was part of me that was thinking like, oh, like most people take like a while to get pregnant, like maybe like up to a year, like 6 months to a year. That imagined timeline didn't happen, and instead I was pregnant like straight away. And along with that came all of the early pregnancy symptoms. So I was hit with feeling tired all the time, feeling sick most days, not really having much appetite, throwing up, the toilet becoming one of the sites that is burned into my brain wherever we were, like, because we were staying in hotels often at that time. So various hotel toilets, or like toilets in restaurants where I would run to the bathroom to throw up, and losing weight during my first few weeks of pregnancy because of this. And once again, I was faced with the spiritual challenge of trying to understand what my worth and value are when I do not have any clear, obvious roots of traditional productivity in terms of career or economic output or progress. Because suddenly I was in a position where I felt ill like all the time. I was either tired, or I was nauseous, or I was vomiting, or I was trying to eat and keep something down, or I was sleeping. I think that life presents us with challenges in a series which we can handle them, because I truly believe that life will only present you with a challenge that you are strong enough and ready enough to rise to. And when the universe presents you with that challenge, it's there to help you grow. And I think this challenge of dealing with feeling guilty around not being able to do anything for 2 months brought up all these questions around, what is my intrinsic value? If I intended to get back into making YouTube videos. I intended to get back to working on improving and iterating on the second version of my course to make it even better and to make it more suitable for really helping students to learn Mandarin. I was intending on doing all of these things, but suddenly the universe had other plans, and our baby was on its way. And I was judging myself for not being able to follow my plan and have control of the situation in some way. Over the last few months, I have realized that the role of motherhood is almost criminally devalued in our current society. And in a way, this mindset has soaked into me, where almost this narrative of like, oh, you should have your career sorted, you should like go study, be super academic, get your career sorted, work super hard, and then maybe later on think about kids. But like, don't have kids too early because they're gonna like make you not able to fulfill your potential or to truly be a useful member of society. Sure, maybe people aren't exactly saying that, but that was almost the message that I had internalized. But over the last few months, I have really had to squarely look at this assumption in the face and question it, because suddenly I find myself in the position where my body is actively creating a new human being, and a new human life, and at times when I would feel useless, or like, oh, like all I'm doing is laying in bed, like feeling ill, or like exhausted, or like needing more sleep than usual, and feeling like a burden on the people around me. So on my husband Ali, or like on my parents. And my mum came to help look after me because I was struggling so much. And so instead of feeling useless, I would also sometimes talk to my mum or talk to Ali and have this, and they would say something like, oh, but you're doing the most important job of all. You're literally like building and creating and giving life to the next generation of human beings. What is possibly more important to the progression of humanity than ensuring that there is the next generation of kind, smart, healthy, happy individuals that can continue to carry on what we've been doing so far? And if we devalue this and sort of see mothers as like, oh, like she's just a mum, or she's just a stay-at-home mum, or like see the role of a mother as like, oh, it's so easy to be a mother, like all you do is just like be pregnant for a while and like squeeze out a few kids. If we devalue this role, and then people don't want to do it anymore, they're not, or they don't necessarily value it in the same way as they maybe could, then what are we left with? We're left with a society that begins to hollow out. And instead, actually, I have gained a massive amount of respect for people who are mums, and all of the parents as well, not just mums, but also dads that have gone before us and poured their love and their resources and their attention into nourishing and raising the next generation. It's inherently a selfless act, which I think is part of why maybe it's devalued, because it's not about personal progression, it's about the progression of the family and the unit and then the child, the next generation. It's not about necessarily like pouring into your own cup, it's about trying to fill up a new cup and create a new cup that can then fill other people's from there on. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm thinking about this, but I'm kind of realizing through this process that firstly, being a mum is hard. Being pregnant is hard, or at least can be hard, because it's different for every woman. It's this questioning of like, okay, what is actually like valuable, and how to view ourselves as valuable or useful or purposeful. At least maybe in the circles that I was swimming in, the bubbles that I was in, the idea of like motherhood and having kids was not seen as something aspirational. It was seen as something like very average, or it was seen as something that was for later down the line once you had achieved all your dreams and fulfilled your potential already. It wasn't seen as something to dream about and to think, that is what I want to do really well. And I have this like curiosity around why that is, and I'm still figuring it out. And I'd actually really appreciate hearing you guys' thoughts down below in the comments, because I'm trying to wrap my head around it, around this like new question that has been posed to me. And I've also been learning to appreciate the power of my body to literally create new life, which is kind of amazing, because when we went to some of our ultrasound scans, the baby is literally moving around. You can see this being that is growing somewhere in here. And it's actually amazing, because often I think it's easy for us to not feel like we're part of nature or part of the wonder and power of it. But we really are. We are part of nature, and we have some of that creation force within us. Every single one of us, both men and women. But especially as a woman, this is something that feels very direct in terms of the ability to carry children. It's not what makes a woman, but it is almost a sort of potential part of being a woman, is this creation potential that we have. And I feel like for a lot of my life I haven't honoured that, or I haven't really seen that in me, because I've just felt like, oh, I'm just me. I'm just going to med school and like doing my thing, and oh, now I'm working as a doctor, like, oh, like doing my academics, and sometimes even denying the impact that natural cycles have on my experience of life. And so this question of purpose, I will come back to in a second when I talk about why I'm back on YouTube. But just to wrap up the life update, so found out that her little one is on the way, and then we decided, because we're meant to be going on extended travels for a couple of months, and figure out, oh, where do we want to live in the world? Like, it doesn't have to be London, we could try Asia, we could try like America, we could try somewhere. But then with this news, we thought, okay, we need to have a solid base, somewhere that we can set up a bit of a nest, a bit of a home, and have some level of stability in terms of seeing a doctor that I know and feeling comfortable with them, knowing the hospital and the system where the baby will be born. So we decided to move to Hong Kong. And so that's the next big life update. I don't know how many life updates there have been so far, maybe 3. Part of the reason why is because in London, I really don't like the weather. Anytime from probably October until March, it's almost perpetually grey and drizzling. The sun at some point rises at like basically 9 a.m. and sets at like 4 p.m. And I find this can often really impact on my mood and outlook on life. And so I was like, okay, well, what if we just tried living somewhere else? What if we, while we're young, we can try moving somewhere warm and sunny? And so then we were thinking, where's warm and sunny? There's some places in the US, but the US, we're not quite sure necessarily how to feel about the politics and the guns and the taxes. So we're like, we could do that, but it's always an option down the line. There's a really cool community of people there, love the people there. It's just, do we want to enter that system? Not sure. We thought about Europe for a bit, but there weren't too many good options there. And so then we're thinking, okay, maybe Asia could be a good adventure. While we're there, we can use it as a bit of a jumping off point to visit other places in Asia, Japan, Korea, Thailand, Southeast Asia, like all the things. And so the 3 top contenders initially were Hong Kong, Singapore, and Kuala Lumpur. According to some friends